Hello, this is Sheshajam from Astroguide Mysore. Today the topic what we are discussing is Mercury in the fifth house. We have been discussing about the placement of planets. We have finished all the 12 placements of Sun, Moon and Mars. So now we are in the series of Mercury, and Mercury in the fourth house was finished recently. That is two videos prior to this. So today we are discussing about Mercury in the fifth house. So fifth house. First, let us talk about the fifth house. I regularly talk about the house and their significations before I start into actually what happens when Mercury is placed there. So, simple key points which actually will help here is I'll just read them out. The fifth house, Putrasthana, Mantrasthana, Purapunyasthana, and also the house of speculation. These are the main points of the fifth house, including Jnana. Jnana means higher education, elevation to a level of, there are two things. One is qualification, the other one is knowledge. So, fourth house is for qualification and fifth house is for knowledge. So, let's see it. I have written down in English, let me tell you. Children, Santana Sthana, that is Putra Sthana. Speculation, that is gambling, speculation, and guesswork, or how witty a person is. Creativity, imagination, higher studies, romance, all beautiful things are there in the fifth house. That is why it is the first trikona from the Kendra. The Kendra itself is the first trikona, but this is the second trikona. From the Kendra, it is the first trikona. Because the ninth becomes the other two. There are two trikonas from the Lagna, you keep the fifth and the ninth. So, the fifth is for digestion because it takes care of that part of the stomach, the abdomen, the upper abdomen. So, digestion, Pura Punya Sthana, the liver, and pupils, that is the Sishyas, the students, are to be seen from what sort of students you will get, what sort of, whether they will be able to take your teachings to the next generation or not. That is to be seen from the fifth house. So next, understanding scriptures, mantra sthana, what we call as, say, like for example, my teacher has taught me mantras, and when I recite mantras, I would want to recite it at the best possible way I can to satisfy what my teacher has taught me. Like for example, if I tell Gananam Tva Grutsamado Ganapatir Jagati Ganapatyavahane Viniyogah Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Pamashravastamam Jyertharajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspada Anashpunman Modivasya Dasadanam. So this is the Samhita way of reciting with the Swara, Saswara Samhita. So if I feel satisfied, that means whatever I have heard or listened to from my Guru, if I am able to perfectly pronounce, that means my fifth house is strong. So you can see that people who have slurry tongue, that is because the third house is for communication, and the third from the third is third, fourth, and fifth, that is the fifth house. So if fast communication, and the pronunciation will not be appropriate. So all this will happen if you have a Mercury which is malefically posited in the fifth house. So this is a beautiful Mercury which is placed, then you will have very good mantrasthana. Mantrasthana, for me, I have Venus and Jupiter. So my mantra, I think if I can tell myself that okay, I am audible and I am people feel good when I tell the mantra. So that means the planets are well placed. So it's not that only the feel good effect, that real pronunciation has to come. So particularly for mantras, Surya, Guru, Shukra, Buddha, these are four magnificent planets to be placed. Not all of them, one after the other, each single alone placed also is very good. Their pronunciation for the language, interpretation, or whatever is very good. So, learning new languages are also to be seen from the fifth house because it is the fourth from the second. It's an excellent position. Fertility, fifth house is also for fertility because it's putrasthana. The egg and the sperm are both to be seen from the fifth house. So these are all the major characteristics of the fifth house. So when Mercury, fast, let us take the qualities of Mercury: fast, impatient, brilliant, grasping. They can grasping power is very high. They can grasp things very fast. We call a person who is able to grasp something in the straight, in the first attempt. We call him ekasandigrahi. Two attempts, then dvisandigrahi. So like that, Mercury, if it is beneficially posited in the fifth house, then these people are called ekasandigrahis. They are very fast in grasping. So young, young and fresh, these the attributes are for Mercury. Mischievous, flirting, that is flirtatious in nature. Okay, careless, carefree. They want easy money and curiosity. All these are major characteristics of Mercury. There are many other characteristics like manipulation, cunningness, very shrewd in thinking, extreme business attitude. But these are all not attitudes which are required for the fifth house. So these are very important. These attributes are very important because, for example, getting into romance. These people are extremely good at, charm. Their charm is beautiful. They are very charming. They talk very well. Their intellectual charm is so high that people get attracted. That is the opposite gender very easily gets attracted. But Putrasthana, Mercury in the fifth house, there is Putra Sukha yoga, but if it is negatively placed, then Mercury with the malefic will spoil the Putrasthana because Mercury by itself, by its nature, is a Napumsaka Graha. That is, it's a eunuch. So it does not want you to procreate. When it is sitting in the fifth house, along with a malefic, it will surely, give a lot of difficulty for procreation. So they will have to go for some medical emergency or some medical intervention, not emergency intervention. So very good in higher studies because Mercury represents electronics, robotics, anything that can be virtually put through, artificial intelligence. This is what is Mercury. So extremely good in artificial intelligence. They are architect, data architecture, data mining, data analysis. These are all new techniques which actually Mercury can give a person a huge boost. So Puru Punya Sthana, Mercury clearly suggests that you have done very good punya if Mercury is placed in the fifth house, that your previous birth, you have done something good and that's why you have a strong, beautiful Mercury in the fifth house. If you have a bad Mercury in the fifth house, that very clearly shows that you have troubled young children in your past birth and that's why you are going through a lot of trouble. So, Mercury in the fifth house, once again, I have explained that you will have fantastic students. One of the best lot of students come through Mercury because they are fast. We usually tell that a real guru is one who can teach more than he has learnt. How can a guru teach more than he has learnt? He will make the attempt to give as much as he has learned along with the experience he has gathered. It's not only what he has learned, the experience what he has gathered to his students. So his students will be ready to take all of them along with their own experiences. They will do wonderful work. So, but one thing, with the imagination included in the fifth house, if you have a malefic Mercury, there will be fear. OCD, problems of OCD, we call it obsessive compulsive disorder. So people will have fear, all sorts of what we call as a phobia. So higher studies, romance, they will easily fall in love, as I told you. So fifth house, and if you have ninth Lord Mercury in the fifth, or if you have seventh Lord Mercury in the fifth, they easily fall in love and they have a nice, beautiful romantic life. But if the seventh house is also well placed, then it will convert into marriage. So, or else they will be flirtatious. So they are very mischievous. They are very curious with regard to everything. So fifth house means they will put their hand into lot of subjects. They will not stop at one thing. They would want to go for further research. So the fifth house and the ninth house and the eighth house, 5, 8, 9, these are the houses where a person really, goes into research and real hardcore research. I'm telling, where people, sacrifice their lives for achieving a particular solution. So they are very good in mathematics, particularly mathematics, because Mercury means arithmetic and also mathematics, so that it's not that only the calculation part, but also the theorems, the axioms, they will know very good geometry. So these people have the spatial knowledge. So this is why Mercury in the fifth house is an excellent position, provided Mercury is well placed and with the benefic or a yoga karaka. The problem here is, if Mercury is alone, we usually do not give that much of strength or emphasis to Mercury when it's alone, until unless it has a good aspect and itself is a yoga karaka. Mercury itself will never be a yoga karaka for any of the lagnas. So it's very rarely it becomes a yoga karaka, because for Capricorn, though it is the ninth lord, it is the sixth lord. For Aquarius, though it is the fifth lord, it becomes the eighth lord. And for the other two corners like Pisces and Sagittarius, it is the seventh lord, so it doesn't become. So once again, for Aries, it becomes the sixth lord and the third lord. No, it's not a yoga karaka. So Mercury and Jupiter are two planets which never become yoga karakas in the total sense, that is 100%. So Mercury along with good planets will give fantastic results, along with bad planets will give slow results. Particularly because this fifth house is for learning and for higher understanding, it should not be associated with the sixth lord. So though it is a yoga karaka, or a friend of Mercury, let us say it is the friend of Mercury, also then it will give a little bit of trouble. So for example, I'll tell you how. So for particularly for Vrishabha Lagna, people keep asking me, second lord and fifth lord Mercury should be fantastic, but if it is associated with the sixth lord or in the sixth house, that is with Venus, though it is the friend of Mercury, it will give some difficulty in the first starting few years of education. So that is because both Venus and Mercury are young and they give a particular result very early in a person's life. So I hope I have given some points where we can actually arrive at certain predictions. So with illustrations, it will be more better for me to explain, as I did yesterday with the chart of the breast cancer charts. The illustrations usually give more detailed explanation, and also people can actually make out what I am trying to tell. So I will be taking up this and going ahead with illustrations in the future classes, because I need to finish it off till Rahu and Ketu, and then we'll talk about illustrations. Thank you very much for today's class.